Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with some more SFO Grimhammer showcases for the newest patch that's going to drop on beta form on the 3rd of June, the Land of Wealth. As always, I'm letting you know in advance that obviously this is going to be beta, so things are subject to change. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, leave them in the comments below because the SFO team do check it out. But with that being said, let's check out today's faction. In this video, we're going to focus around Grand Cathay, which never had an army book, never really had a supplement, and in fact, yes, they did have miniatures, but it was so long ago that I don't think even most Games Workshop staff even remember that. They're a completely fresh faction for the Warhammer series, and a lot of people are wondering how these could be improved to be more lore-friendly. There is a decent amount of lore, but until we get more information, I imagine that the SFO team is going to focus more on balancing rather than turning it lore-friendly. So let's go check out some changes. Okay, so let's start off with your control. As you get more control, you'll start to get more benefits, which include missile damage, campaign movement range province-wide, and trade income faction-wide. All of these are quite good because missile damage is going to be quite helpful when you're defending the Great Bastion. Campaign movement range, well, Cathay, even though it's been cut for the Realm of Chaos map, is still pretty large, and some of the cities are a little bit distant, so you're going to be able to move around. And obviously, trade income faction-wide, you're a trader nation. This is going to help you especially get a little bit more money coming in. Also, as a quick note, the port chains have received replenishment in region and sword production. This is going to be quite helpful to get some extra money. Commandments for Cathay have been changed around, and you can see them on screen right now. I'll be cycling through them. You might not even notice the changes, but the idea is to keep it to the point of just balancing with everyone else rather than having drastic changes. There have also been some small adjustments to harmony, some balancing here and there, nothing too big, once again just keeping to the line of keeping all the base game races to a certain level without overpowering each other, and I'll let the rest of this play off so you can see any stats. So there has been a nerf here, and this is with regards to technology, where some of the stuff there was nerfed to the effects, and you won't really notice it too much. It's kind of inconsequential considering that some other stuff has come into effect just naturally through your campaign, so it does balance out. I'm not going to scroll over the whole tech tree. I'll let you discover it as you play, as it's not very long now, and trust me, again, you won't notice it. So there've been multiple changes to the Great Bastion, which are as follows. Siege attrition resistance changed to 100% on all levels. Enemy hero action success chance reduced, added to all levels, minus 25/25%. Defensive supplies amount increased, and the generated per turn has been lowered. Leadership bonus has been added to the refectory chain too. So basically what this means is that the Great Bastion is more of a proper Great Bastion. You won't be suffering attrition, which obviously makes sense because, well, Inner Cathay is supplying the Bastion itself, so you're a lot more defensive and can deal with the random attacks that happen from the Kurgan warbands more often. So recruitment buildings are rather interesting for Grand Cathay. As they reduce growth, they also increase unit experience per turn, and you can stack it up quite well if you know how to plan out your buildings, meaning that a fresh army could start getting a lot of ranks whilst you're waiting for enemies to arrive, or if you're waiting for them for a rift to open or just to go out and attack an area. It is quite beneficial, and you'll see that on the screen. You can see all the different benefits there, and it's very, very noticeable. It's very, very noticeable. There are a few changes coming to your infrastructure buildings, which are as follows. Your civic chains at tier 3 will increase the recruitment rank for lords and heroes, and also the general growth has been increased. The industry chains now both lower control while generating resources, but increase campaign movement range province-wide. And the conscription chain, now all the peasant bonuses were moved to one building, where the second has province-wide replenishment instead. So you can have two buildings here, which are very drastically different, and it depends on what you need. And obviously keep in mind that there are certain lockouts when it comes to this because they are harmony focused. There's also access to a new building chain that lowers corruption more when corruption is low, grants experience per turn to characters, recruitment cost province-wide, and lowers siege attrition damage in the region. It's also a neutral building. This means that it doesn't affect harmony whatsoever, so it's not going to tip the scales, and it will be easier for you to control your harmony, which already is something of a strange mechanic to get used to, especially since it's so different to what we've seen so far in the Warhammer series. Xiaoming has received a few nerfs when it comes to faction and campaign traits. These are the following. With campaign, the Ogre Mercenaries upkeep reduction effect has been changed to minus 20%, sorry, down from minus 25. And finally, Xiaoming's trait itself, melee unit upkeep reduction changed to minus 20%, down from 25. Meow Meow, on the other hand, did get some other changes, so let's go over them. In the campaign effects, there is now +2 recruitment rank for Dragon-Blooded Shugengen added, so it's going to be quite beneficial early on. She probably has the harder campaign of the two, likely because of the whole, you know, Kurgan invasions constantly, so this will make sure that you can recruit some higher level lords and be able to fight them back a little bit better. Missile infantry upkeep reduction effect changed to minus 20%, down from 50%. That will be kind of noticeable early on, but also plus 25% attrition resistance province-wide effect added, which is going to be very, very good depending on where you position your lord. And I think overall, she's got a decent buff, but she also did get a nerf. It's noticeable. It's a lot more noticeable than Xiaoming. So I want to take the time now to talk about my experiences with Grand Cathay as the changes have come into effect. I've been playing for a decent amount of time. Cathay is one of those races which is generally quite easy to play. The only thing that's quite difficult to get used to is mostly the harmony mechanic, just balancing that out. But other than that, it works out quite well. I'd say that the changes were quite good. Remember that a lot of changes did come from the quality of life stuff, which was highlighted in a previous video, and that all comes into effect here too. In terms of power ranking, I would say that Cathay was quite high, and this has balanced them well enough to keep everyone more or less on the same level. Like, Khorne's still very, very strong, but that's just because Khorne is Khorne. But Cathay feels good. I had a lot of fun playing. I was playing a campaign on very hard. That's not the footage that you're seeing here with Meow Meow. And I do realize that the buff to the Dragon-Blooded is so very helpful. Just having them a few ranks up at the very beginning, it does make a difference as you're trying to just build up and you're trying to take care of not only the rebels, but also that Tzeentchian faction that managed to get in, and then obviously you've got the Kurgans, so having some early lords at a decent rank does help. So now when I start up a new Cathay campaign, I don't have the obvious going to Xiaoming, because now both of them are quite viable, at least in my opinion. It very much depends on your chosen playstyle and what you want to deal with at the beginning, of course. But with all that being said, if you feel like anything does need to change, leave suggestions in the comments below, so Venris and his team can look it over, and if they see if it makes sense and so on, they can consider it. This patch is going on beta on June the 3rd, so it's not long now, and soon you guys will be able to play it and test it out for yourselves. Let me know what you think so far, and have a nice day.